Hello dear students, so let us continue our next exercise on GST. So before we begin our second exercise, we should be familiar with two very important topics which were discussed in the very first video, and the topics are input and output GST. Now to understand it, I'll take the same example. For example, assume that there is one manufacturer. Okay, now he manufactures some product, okay, and he sells the same products to dealer, okay, and this dealer will distribute the same goods to consumer. Okay, now that means if manufacturer is selling some products to dealer, then dealer must pay some tax, right? Yes, so when manufacturer sells some product to dealer, dealer needs to pay some tax to the government, okay, and that tax is known as input GST. Okay, now the dealer sells the same item to consumer, okay, by keeping some profit and all those stuffs. And when consumer purchases the same product, he needs to again pay tax, okay, and that tax is known as output GST. Okay, now there is something called net GST, okay, and the net GST is given by output GST minus input GST. Okay, now these two are very important things, that is net GST and input GST, because these two will be paid to the government. Okay, so these are the input and output GST, and we talked about our net GST. Now we'll move on to our problems. So the first problem says we just need to fill in the blanks. Okay, let us see what is given. So when the goods or services are sold for rupees 15,000 under intrastate transaction, that means within the same state. Okay, so the stations are given from A to B, and the rate of GST is given to be 12%. Now there is station A and there is station B. Okay, so there is some transaction happening from station A to station B. Okay, now question is asking what will be the selling price at station A. That means what will be the price with which station B purchases from station A, because station A is selling it, right? So it is sold at rupees 15,000. That's what the question is saying. So that's why my selling price is going to be 15,000. Okay, now since it is intra transaction, okay, there's going to be CGST and SGST applicable. Okay, and since the rate of GST is given to 12%, so that's why CGST and SGST both are going to be exactly half of this, that is 6% and 6%. So they are asking calculate what is 6% of this, what is 6% of this. So when you calculate them, you'll get 900. Okay, now A sold the good to B. Okay, that means the selling price for your station A will become cost price for station B, because he purchased the good from A. Okay, so that's why my cost price at station B is going to be the same as selling price at station A. Okay, now it is given that profit is rupees 5,000. That means the profit made is 5,000. So that's why my selling price will be cost price plus profit, right? So which will be this much. Okay, now it is said that same good or services are moved under interstate transaction from station B to station C. Now just now we saw that from A to B it was intrastate transaction, and now from B to another station C which is lying in another state. That means the condition here is interstate. Okay, so then rate of tax is given to be 12%. Now they're asking what will be the GST. So obviously this time it's going to be IGST, right? So it will be 12% of the selling price at station B, because station B is selling at this, and we know that GST is applicable on selling price. So that's why 12% of 20,000, which will be this much. So that's why the cost price at station C will be how much? It will be 20,000, because whatever is the selling price for B, it's the same will be the cost price for station C. So if you have understood these many things, then it's going to be very easy for doing the rest of the sums. Pause the video to note down. Okay, now in the second question, it is said that goods or services are sold from Agra to Kanpur and both are lying in UP. Okay, so goods are sold from Agra for rupees this much. So that means this will be the selling price for Agra, because from Agra it is sold at this much. Okay, now from Kanpur, then from Kanpur to Jaipur, that means from UP to Rajasthan. So this is also like the earlier case. First is intra and next is inter. Now if the rate of GST is 18% and the profit made at Kanpur is 5,000, so you need to find net GST. Okay, and you need to find the cost of goods or services at Jaipur. That means you need to find the cost price at Jaipur, which we have already seen in earlier problem. Okay, now let us see the solution of this. Now first is interstate transaction. Okay, so from Agra to Kanpur, let us see what is happening. Now obviously what is happening, this is my selling price for Agra, right? So for the dealer in Agra, selling price will be 20,000, as I said. Okay, now obviously since there is GST rate is 18%, and since this is intrastate, there is going to be CGST and SGST being applicable. So since it is 18, so that's why CGST will be 99%, which will be this much. Similarly SGST will be this much. Okay, so that's why next, okay, let us see the next case. That is when the product is sold from Kanpur to Jaipur. That means interstate transaction. Now let us see what happens over there. So for dealer in Kanpur, okay, so be careful, from Agra to Kanpur, then from Kanpur to Jaipur. Okay, so we are in the middle now. So for the dealer in Kanpur, we know that these are the tax, right? Yes. Okay, so these are the tax paid by the dealer to the manufacturer in Agra. Okay, so that's why his cost price, the amount by which he bought, is this much. Okay, and it is given that profit is 5,000. Okay, so that's why my selling price is going to be 20,000 plus this much, which will be 25,000. Okay, now it is seen that the selling price for dealer in Kanpur, that means he is willing to sell after having a profit of 5,000. So he is willing to sell the same product for rupees 25,000. Okay, now since the next transaction is interstate, so that's why we are going to have IGST applicable. Okay, and the rate of GST is given to be 18%. So that's why your IGST will be 18% on selling price, that is this much. So that's why IGST will be 18% of this, which will be this much. So that's why first is net GST paid by the dealer. So net GST is output GST minus input GST, and output GST is this much. The GST paid by the consumer, that is this much. Okay, and we already knew that input GST, that means the GST which was paid by dealer to the manufacturer was 3600. So when you subtract them, you'll get net GST to be 900. Okay, now next is cost of goods or services at Jaipur. So it will be obviously selling price in Agra plus IGST. So selling price in Agra was this much, and IGST we just now found it to be 4500, and when you add them you'll get this much. So pause the video to note down. Okay, we'll move on to next question. If you see in this particular exercise, almost all the sums are same. Okay, so just give it a try, and if you don't understand anything, you can ask me your doubts in the comment section. Okay, now we'll have a look at the next question, and questions are almost similar. Now the question says A is a dealer in Banaras. Okay, so there's a dealer in Banaras, UP, and his name is A. He supplies goods or services worth rupees 8,000 to dealer B in Agra, UP. So that means again the case is same. So there's a dealer by name A who is in Banaras, and there is another dealer by name B who is in UP. So both are in UP, right? So that's why this is intrastate sale. Now dealer B in turn supplies the same goods or services to dealer C in Patna. Now there's another dealer C who is staying in Patna, that is Bihar. That means this is now a different state. So that's why the next transaction is going to be interstate transaction. Okay, now again profit made by dealer B is given to be this much. Okay, now find the input and output taxes for the dealer C. Okay, under GST system. If the rate of GST is 18% and C does not sell his goods or services further, so it's a same kind of problem. So first we need to check, we need to see the intrastate transaction. So let us see what is the intrastate transaction. Okay, so for dealer A, we know that selling price is this much. Okay, and for dealer B, okay, it's going to cost price is going to be this much. Yeah, because he purchased the good for rupees 8,000, so cost price is 8,000. Now obviously since this is intrastate transaction between them, okay, this 18% will be divided into 9% and 9% for CGST and SGST, and we calculate GST on selling price, which is this much. So we'll get our CGST and SGST to be this much. Now dealer B makes a profit of this much. That's what the question is saying. So that's why my new selling price will be cost price plus profit, which will be 8,000 plus 1,200, which is same as earlier case. You can refer to that earlier problem as well. So when you add them, you'll get this much. So this will be the selling price for dealer B. That means dealer B sells the same product for rupees this much to dealer C. Okay, now let's see what happens with dealer C. So it is interstate transaction. Now again cost price will be this one, right? Because dealer C purchased the same product for this much. Okay, so that's why this the very same number becomes your cost price. Okay, now since this is interstate, you need to calculate IGST, and rate is given to 18, so that's why 18% of what? This one. Okay, now just calculate, you'll get your 18% to be this much. Okay, now this is actually what? This is the tax paid by the dealer C. That means this is my output GST, right? Yes, and the sum of these two will be my input GST. Okay, so that's why input tax is this much. That means when you add these two, you'll get input GST. But if you see here carefully, this is for dealer B, right? But the question is asking for dealer C. Be careful. Okay, so question is asking input GST for dealer C. dealer C, okay, not for dealer B. So that's why this becomes your input GST for dealer C. So that's why my input GST is this much. Both are same. Now we know that C is not selling his product to anyone, so that's why he's not charged with output GST, because he's not selling at all, no, right? So that's why there is no output GST being charged. Okay, so since the dealer in Patna does not sell the product, so that's why output GST will be 0. So pause the video to note down and try the rest of the sums by yourself. If you don't get your answers, get back to me in the comment section. I'll definitely help you out. Thank you very much.